Most people think Delaware is automatically the cheaper state to retire in. Zero sales tax, low property taxes, no inheritance tax. It sounds unbeatable, but here's what almost nobody realizes. Pennsylvania doesn't tax a single dollar of your retirement income. Delaware does, and for a couple pulling $60,000 from their IRA, that's $2,300 a year gone. So before you pack up for the beach, you need to run the full math, because what looks cheaper on property tax can actually cost you more on income tax. I'm Jim Stevenson, a realtor based in Pennsylvania. If you're planning a move and want a custom shortlist that matches your budget, commute, and preferences across the state, book a quick call using the link below for a local plan. Let's break down the tax math. Delaware's reputation comes from three things: zero sales tax, low property tax, and no inheritance tax. Pennsylvania can't match any of those on paper, but Pennsylvania wins on the one line item that decides your real monthly cost: state income tax on retirement money, or more accurately, the lack of it. Here's how it works. Pennsylvania doesn't tax Social Security, pensions, 401ks, or IRA withdrawals once you're retired. If your income is retirement-based, your state income tax bill is zero. Whether you're in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, or Erie, same rule statewide. Delaware excludes Social Security too, but it only shields the first $12,500 per person in other retirement income. Everything above that gets taxed at rates up to 6.5%. So a couple drawing $60,000 a year from their IRAs pays about $2,300 in Delaware taxes. In Pennsylvania, zero. Here's the catch. Delaware's lower property taxes can erase that advantage if you own an expensive home. So which state actually costs you less each month? Let's start with property taxes. Pennsylvania's property taxes vary more than almost anywhere in the country. A $700,000 home in the Philadelphia suburbs, Bucks, Montgomery, Chester counties will cost you $12,000 to $13,000 a year. Drive west to Harrisburg or Lancaster and it drops to $7,000 or $8,000. Up in State College or Altoona or Center County, $6,000 to $7,000. Pittsburgh suburbs in Allegheny County, $8,000 to $9,000. Head north to Scranton or the Poconos, Lackawanna or Monroe County, $5,000 to $6,000. Out in Erie County on the lake, $4,000 to $5,000. So Pennsylvania ranges from $4,000 to $13,000 on that same home. It's driven mostly by local school district funding. Delaware is simpler. That same $700,000 home costs around $3,900 a year in Newcastle County near Wilmington. Kent County near Dover, $3,500. Sussex County on the coast, $2,200. On property tax alone, Delaware saves you $600 to $800 a month compared to suburban Philly. Even compared to Erie or Scranton, you're still saving $100 to $200. But here's where most buyers get burned. They look at property tax and stop. They forget about income tax on withdrawals and inheritance tax on what you leave behind. Here's where the story pivots. The state that looks cheaper on paper can actually cost you more if most of your money comes from retirement accounts. Let's talk about inheritance. Pennsylvania still has an inheritance tax. 0 to your spouse, 4.5% to your kids or grandkids, 12% to siblings, 15% to anyone else. Leave $300,000 to your child and the state takes about $13,500. Doesn't matter if you're in Lancaster, Scranton, or Pittsburgh, it's the same rate statewide. Delaware repealed its estate tax years ago. No inheritance tax at all. Your heirs keep every penny. So Pennsylvania rewards you while you're alive with zero tax on retirement income. Delaware rewards your heirs after you're gone. For some families, the inheritance piece is the deciding factor. For most, the month-to-month cost matters more. Reality check. If you're focused on the monthly affordability, Pennsylvania's income tax rules make a big difference. Even if you save $800 a month in Delaware property taxes, you might pay it back through income tax if your withdrawals are large enough. Now let's talk sales tax. Pennsylvania charges 6% statewide, 8% in Philadelphia, 7% in Allegheny County around Pittsburgh. Delaware sales tax is zero. Buy a $3,000 appliance in Wilmington, you pay $3,000. Buy the same one in Erie or Lancaster, you pay $3,240. Over a year of spending, that might save you a few hundred. But here's what most people miss. Pennsylvania doesn't tax groceries, most clothing, or prescriptions. So unless you're buying big ticket items regularly, that 0% in Delaware doesn't move the needle very much. One more thing about property taxes in Pennsylvania. They're not uniform within regions. In boroughs and walkable downtowns, taxes are higher per square foot. In surrounding townships, you get more land and newer homes, but more driving. That pattern repeats statewide. Lancaster City taxes are higher than its suburbs. Pittsburgh proper higher than Cranberry or Peters Township. Philadelphia higher than Doylestown or Westchester. So you can find lower property taxes inside Pennsylvania if you're willing to trade walkability for space. Now here's where access and convenience separate the two states. Healthcare access matters more the longer you're retired. Pennsylvania has over 250 hospitals statewide and several nationally ranked systems. Penn Medicine in Philadelphia ranked #1 in Pennsylvania on the National Honor Roll for cardiac and cancer care. UPMC in Pittsburgh, #2 in the state, nationally ranked in multiple specialties. Geisinger in Danville, serving central and northeastern PA, highly rated for rural healthcare. Lehigh Valley Hospital in Allentown, top 10 in the state. Penn State Hershey Medical Center, major teaching hospital serving central PA. Lancaster General, Penn Medicine affiliate serving Lancaster County. Even in smaller towns, State College, Williamsport, Johnstown, Reading, you're usually, within 30 to 45 minutes of a full service hospital. You're rarely more than 45 minutes from a specialist anywhere in Pennsylvania. Delaware has 8 acute care hospitals total. Christiana Care in Newark is excellent, ranked #1 in Delaware, tied for #3 in the greater Philly region. It's a level 1 trauma center, high performing in 14 conditions. If you live in Wilmington or Newark in northern Delaware, the access is solid. But if you retire to Rehoboth, your local option is BB Healthcare. BB is good for general care and emergencies. For specialized cardiology or oncology, you're driving an hour plus to Christiana or crossing into Maryland or Pennsylvania. For routine checkups, that's fine. For complex conditions, heart issues, cancer, dialysis, the extra distance starts to matter. Here's the part most retirees don't plan for. The longer you live, the more healthcare dominates your budget. Having access to a hospital network can save you more in travel and time than you'll ever save in taxes. Now let's talk housing and risk. Pennsylvania's housing stock is older and more varied. You can find 18th century farmhouses, 1950s ranches, or brand new construction in master plan communities. That variety gives you pricing leverage but adds inspection risk. You'll still see oil heat in older homes, especially in the Poconos and rural areas. Septic systems are common outside suburban water districts. Stucco built between 1995 and 2005 can hide moisture issues. And that's not fear talk, that's budgeting talk. Radon is common too, especially north of Harrisburg and west towards State College and the Alleghenies. All of that is normal in Pennsylvania, but all of it is worth budgeting for. Delaware's homes skew newer, but HOAs are everywhere, especially near the coast. Coastal properties often require flood or wind insurance, which can really add hundreds a month in Sussex County. So you're choosing between maintenance unpredictability in Pennsylvania and insurance predictability in Delaware. Let me show you how this plays out for real buyers. A couple I was working with from New Jersey compared 2 identical budgets, $500,000. Option 1, Lancaster County in Pennsylvania. Option 2, Middletown, Delaware. The Lancaster home costs $7,500 in property tax, but 0 income tax on withdrawals. The Delaware home costs $3,800 in property tax, but about $2,000 a year in income tax. When they added groceries, healthcare, travel time to family, Pennsylvania actually came out roughly $400 a month cheaper, and they were closer to their grandkids. So they moved to Pennsylvania. Here's the flip scenario. If you're buying a smaller beach home with minimal retirement income and no heirs to worry about, Delaware's lower fixed costs win easily. But if you're buying a larger home in a suburb or small town with steady IRA withdrawals, Pennsylvania wins quietly every single month. Let me zoom out. Pennsylvania fits retirees who want 0 state tax on retirement income and strong healthcare access. You can choose your setting. City life in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, college towns like State College or Carlisle, mountain communities in the Poconos or the Laurel Highlands, lake towns in Erie County, small historic towns like Gettysburg, Jim Thorpe, or New Hope. You're never far from major hospitals or specialists. Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Lancaster, Scranton, Erie all have strong regional healthcare systems, but you'll pay higher property taxes, especially in those suburban areas, and your heirs will face inheritance tax. Delaware fits retirees who want lower monthly fixed costs and simpler estate planning. No sales tax, no inheritance tax, property taxes 2 to 4 times lower than Pennsylvania. Wilmington and Newark in the north are more urban. Dover in the middle is the state capital, quieter. The southern beaches, Rehoboth, Bethany, are seasonal resort towns, but fewer hospitals. And if you live south of Dover, you're traveling for specialized care. So the real question isn't which state is cheaper, It's which state rewards your specific situation. Income tax, Pennsylvania wins. Property tax, Delaware wins. Sales tax, Delaware wins. Inheritance, Delaware wins. Healthcare and variety, Pennsylvania wins. If most of your income comes from pensions and IRAs, Pennsylvania's zero tax on that income saves you thousands a year. If you spend heavily and want low property taxes, Delaware wins. If you're leaving significant assets to heirs, Delaware's zero inheritance tax is a massive advantage. If you need frequent specialist care, Pennsylvania's hospital density matters more than any tax break. Neither state is better. They just fit different priorities. Here's what to do next. Look at actual homes that fit your budget in both states, not the averages. Pull the property tax estimate. Estimate your annual withdrawals. Compare the totals side by side. That's how you find your real monthly difference. Because the right state isn't just cheaper, it's the one that gives you the most freedom to actually enjoy retirement. If you want help running that math with real listings and tax estimates, book a quick call using the link below. And if you haven't already, watch my video, Retiring in Pennsylvania, the pros and cons. It walks through the benefits and trade-offs of staying in state once you retire. It pairs perfectly with this one. I'll link it on the screen now. Thanks for watching.